Johann walked through the streets of Amsterdam as if they were corridors of a life that no longer belonged to him. Every morning, the same path. His body, accustomed to moving mechanically between appointments and meetings, now felt every step as an unanswered question. The noise of bicycles and cars crossing the bridges merged with his thoughts, now tired of trying to make sense of everything he had built. The sky above him, always gray, seemed to reflect the uncertainty he felt. If you too feel lost, subscribe to our channel to discover new perspectives on life. He had spent most of his life chasing something: success, security, the approval of others. But now that he was close to retirement, with an illness slowly eating away at him, he realized he had lost sight of the meaning of it all. Friends had become colleagues, family a distant memory, and the apartment he had bought with such pride now felt empty. Time was passing, but Johann felt like he had stood still. Have you ever had a moment when you wondered what life really meant? Share your experience in the comments. It was one of those mornings, while wandering aimlessly through the Jordan, that he noticed that little Zen center for the first time. It seemed invisible to the eyes of passers-by, a place hidden in the chaos of the city. It was a simple building, without neon signs or large windows, but something attracted him. He entered almost without thinking, driven by a force he could not explain. Inside, all was quiet. A middle-aged man, sitting on a cushion, greeted him with a smile. Johann, still too used to asking questions, remained silent. The man did not ask who he was or what he was looking for. He simply motioned for him to sit down. "Listen to your breathing," the man said calmly. "That's all you have to do." The words struck Johann more than he expected. Johann had spent his whole life doing something, but sitting down and breathing, it seemed too simple to be meaningful. Yet he followed the man's advice. He closed his eyes and began to breathe, trying to listen to the sound of the air going in and out of his body. It wasn't easy. His mind kept going back to the same old thoughts: work, his illness, the time that seemed to slip away from him. But slowly, between one breath and the next, Johann began to feel a sense of calm that he hadn't felt in years. Take time every day to listen to your breathing and discover inner peace. As the days passed, Johann returned to the center. Each time the man greeted him with the same smile and the same simple questions. "Did you notice the wind today? Or the reflection of the light on the water?" Johann, confused at first, began to understand the message. It wasn't about finding a deeper meaning in everything, but about appreciating what was there, right in front of his eyes. Amsterdam, a city he had always seen as a mere backdrop to his busy life, began to reveal itself in new ways. The canals, which had previously been mere thoroughfares, now reflected the sunlight in ways Johann had never noticed. The people he passed on the street, once anonymous, now seemed to carry untold stories. A mother pushing a pram, a young man with headphones pedaling to college, an old man reading the newspaper in an outdoor cafe. Johann watched them and saw in them fragments of life, simple and true. One day, while Johann was at the Zen Center, the man told him a story. He was talking about an ancient philosopher who, at the end of his life, realized that he had spent too much time looking for the meaning of things, losing sight of the value of the present moment. "Don't try to understand everything," the man said, "because meaning is not something you can grasp with your mind. It is something you feel here and now. Sometimes you don't have to look for answers, you just have to live in the present. Try meditating today." Those words resonated with Johann. He realized that he had always tried to make sense of his life through work, success, and the expectations of others. But perhaps the true meaning was hidden in the details he had always ignored. He began to practice meditation more regularly, not only at the Zen Center, but also at home, sitting by the window overlooking the canal. Every day he learned to let go a little more, letting go of expectations, fears, and the desire to control. But the path was not without obstacles. There were times when Johann felt overwhelmed by the disease, by fears for the future and regrets for the past. One evening, while walking along the canal, he stopped to look at the reflection of the city lights on the water. Why me? He asked himself. The disease was slowly consuming him, and despite everything he had learned, the fear of the end was still there, hidden deep in his heart. It was then that he met an old friend, Mark, whom he hadn't seen in years. Mark had also spent much of his life in the corporate world, but had left it all behind a few years earlier to devote himself to painting. They sat together in a small cafe, sharing a bottle of wine. Mark talked about his new life, away from corporate goals, and how he had found a new form of freedom in creating. "It's not about what you leave behind," Mark said. "It's about what you find along the way. Remember, life is a journey. Don't worry too much about the past, but focus on what you can discover in the present." Those words struck Johann. The path he had undertaken, with the help of the Zen Center, was not an attempt to escape from the past, but a new possibility of living in the present. With Mark's help, Johann began to explore new ways of expressing himself. He tried to write, paint, and even grow a small garden on the balcony of his apartment. It was not about doing extraordinary things, but about finding a sense of connection with life through simple, everyday acts. As time passed, and even as the disease progressed, Johann felt more alive than ever. His daily meditation helped him find a sense of peace, even in the most difficult moments. One day, while meditating near the canal, he saw a group of children playing with a ball. One of them fell to the ground, and for a moment, Johann held his breath. But the boy immediately got up, laughing. In that moment, Johann understood that life was just like that, falling and getting up again, always moving, always evolving. Life is full of ups and downs. Whenever you fall, remember that you can always get up again. There was no great hidden meaning to be discovered. The meaning of life was not a treasure buried somewhere far away, but was there, in every breath, in every look, in every moment lived to the full. Illness was no longer an enemy, but a part of the journey. There was no more fear, only acceptance. Johann continued to live his days with serenity, knowing that every moment was precious. When his time finally came to an end, there was no pain or regret, only gratitude for having found peace, not in the answers, but in the questions that life had asked him along the way. Remember, true peace is found in accepting each moment as it is. Live in the present.